Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you who've joined this webinar of Eastern India Lions Leadership Academy. Today, the topic of this webinar is My Club, My Way. What does it really mean? We have eminent speakers who are going to speak on this topic. We have with us International Director Thomas Gordon, past International Director Manoj Shah, past District Governor Christian Lafeld, on past Council Chair too, and Leo turned lion Ayush Bagla. So we'll have a variety of views, ideas. What does it really mean? Before we go on, I would also like to tell you that we will have the presentations by each of the speakers, after which we will open it up for question and answers. Your suggestions, your ideas, your thoughts. This is a platform for conversations. You will see on your panel there is a hand icon. If you would put up your hand icon, if you have any questions or suggestions, we would unmute you and then you could pose your question or suggestion and we'll take it forward from there. So this is the plan. The speakers speak first and then we'll open it up for the questions. Before we go on to the panel, over to past International Director AP Singh.
Thank you, PID Sangeeta, and welcome everybody to the Eastern India Lions Leadership Academy webinar series. Although the name is Eastern India Lions Leadership Academy, the word Eastern India exists only because the Lions of Eastern India started or initiated this academy. But this is a platform for the Lions of the world to make seamless conversations between the Lions of the world on issues, on matters that concern all of us, to learn from the success stories of each other, to share their views, to understand the challenges, and to basically understand and appreciate what diversity really means, and basically add to the pool of resources that is so much available in our organization in all parts of the world. We started with this webinar series some years ago. We had a small gap in between, and we've come back with this series because we received encouraging remarks and comments from our friends in different parts of the world, saying that they always enjoyed listening to speakers and presenters from all parts on the same webinar, just as we are enjoying today. We have ID Gordon, who comes from Canada. We have PID Manoj, who comes from Africa. The past council chair Christian Lafeld, who comes from Germany, Europe, and Leo turned lion Ayush Bagla, who comes from India but is currently based out of France. So it's kind of a global village getting together, and our participation also is from all constitutional areas of the world. So this is a global get-together, a global seminar. So let's get going, let's enjoy it, and as we stated earlier, the attendees will have their opportunity to ask questions towards the end, and we'll have sufficient time for that. With this, let me start by inviting past council chair Christian Lafeld to start with her presentation.
Thank you, AP. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to all of you. And thanks to PID AP and PID Sangeeta for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts about this topic with you. Next slide, please. The headline of today's webinar, What Comes into My Mind? Two thoughts came right away into my mind when I read the topic of our webinar for the first time. First thought, Frank Sinatra, known to lions my age as the one and only with his world hit, I Did It My Way. Frank Sinatra, personality, unique, special, his way. The second thought, Bayern München, soccer team, world champion winner, right now not as successful as they used to be, but the role model for being successful in the soccer business. Just have a look on the logo. My club, my heart, my family. Next slide. We could copy Bayern München. Excellent strategy. Copy paste. What does it mean for Lions? What does it mean for my club? First of all, each member counts and is important for your club. We need each member's involvement. That means we have to listen. We need the members' enthusiasm. That means we have to care. We need the members' individuality. That means we have to be tolerant and open-minded. Your voice, each member's voice matters. This is the key to success. Once this is agreed on among the members and they all understand that my club means my heart and my family, you realize how unique your club is. We now can build our club. We can set goals, define and agree on standards, and we finally all commit each other and agree on actions. We start fulfilling our goals in a joint club action, in our unique service activity. Heart and family is what makes my club to my club. These two are the main criteria and essential for your club. Heart and family imply 5 keynotes, which are of great importance for your club. It is consistency, integrity, commitment, sincerity, and reliability. This given, you can build up trust, and you have trust. Never stop being engaged. And that is for every member very important. Just keep the 3C in mind and use them to strengthen your club and the service of your club. And it's very easy to remember. It is credibility, creativity, and commitment. So just keep the 3Cs in mind. And now I have a great example for you for today's topic. I had the opportunity to travel to Ukraine to charter the first women club in Kiev. Women from an existing business club in Kiev. Young women, lots of power, great ideas, tough and just inspiring, a totally new generation. They wanted to charter the first women club in the young lions country of Ukraine in Eastern Europe. The reason was they want to strengthen and support their country. And they see the urgent need to do more and offer voluntary service, apart from being together in a business club. Having heard and learned about Lions and our contribution to the community, they decided to charter their own women club. And I had the wonderful opportunity to be present at this charter and got to know that they have already 2 projects. One is they want to start an orphanage together with 2 other Lions clubs. And the second is the idea to start English films with English language in the country, because they know once everybody starts listening to these movies in English, they will be able and capable to speak better language than before. And this is important for their country to grow. So if we bring this all together, it is very important for us to understand each club is unique and has the right to be unique, because this is the power of the club. Your club is your family, has a great heart, and lives teamwork. Friendship and service are the main backbones of your club. Kindness matters. This is what we stay for. This is so-called our Lions DNA. Each one of you can live this as a philosophy of life. It is this attitude of kindness we need as a lion. And to conclude, what is it all about? Define, create, and find the DNA of your club. My club, my way. Be a lion and demonstrate attitude. Our hands, our service. That's what it really means. Thanks to all of you for taking part and listening. We have questions later, and please do not hesitate to give your comments or ask questions and share your thoughts with us. And now I just pass it back to AP so that he can introduce the next panelist to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. And we'll move on with this to past International Director Manoj Shah. But before we call Manoj in, I would just like to tell you that this webinar is being recorded and it will be available for you to view or for your friends to view at www.leadersacademy.org in a couple of days. So this is going to be there for posterity along with the PowerPoint presentation for whoever might be interested. So handing it over to past Director Manoj. Manoj, are you there? Manoj, are you there? I see Manoj does have some challenge with his audio, it seems. So AP, would we take it forward and take it to Director Tom and bring it back then?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you are looking at the slide right now, you'll see that basically Lions International has a booklet that you can use to get your club your way. In the old days, all the clubs sort of functioned the same way. We would call those traditional clubs. And when you went to visit a club that wasn't quite traditional, you'd say, oh my, they don't do things the same way we do. And it took a while before LCI caught on that, you know, some of those clubs that weren't doing things in the traditional way were doing an awful lot of service. And that's really our goal in the end, is to do an awful lot of service. We also know that after Operation Deep Dive, a lot of clubs had lost members because their meetings were not what they wanted them to be. They get bored, they were long, you know, and they weren't meaningful to the members, so they would leave the club. So in an effort to keep our members, a little retention effort, and to look at you know, sort of the strengths and the skills and the desires of different clubs, they said really clubs should be functioning based upon what the people in that club desire to do. Now, where I come from in Canada, we have areas that are very culturally diverse, and so they're not singular at all that way. And basically what they have to do then is they're looking at, you know, running their club from the culture that they brought to Canada. In other areas, it's very homogeneous and it's Canadian culture. So it depends on where that club is. So now you got the culture issue, and you also have strengths, skills, and desires issue. And so how do you want to do this? Well, for some people, you know, 2 meetings a month is not enough. And so they meet every week. And for some groups, 2 meetings a month is one too many. And so they only meet once a month. Some clubs meet in person, and you can see from the picture there, that's a big club, and they're meeting and they have a speaker at the front, and they have an agenda printed out. Everybody gets an agenda, and it's very formal, it's fixed, and there's a certain protocol to follow for the meeting. And then they have a featured presenter, and that's sort of how a traditional meeting works. Then there are clubs now that we call them connected clubs or cyber clubs, and they meet online. And basically that way they can stay home. And I have a friend of mine who's part of a cyber club, and he says it's a great way to meet because you can have your own kind of drink that you want, and you can sit in your own chair, and you can wear what you want to wear. You don't have to wear any kind of a special suit or anything like that. Very less formal. And they do all their business online, but they do meet face to face to do their service, their events, and sometimes they meet just for a social meeting. They meet just so they can get together. And so that connected club is one of those, it seems to be a new way. A new. I don't know what that is. And then there's clubs that are sort of a half and half. They come up with their own design about how they meet, when they want to meet, what they want to do. for their service. And basically, again, that comes out of the strengths, skills, the desires that are in the members. And so they have to go through and they have to look at, why do they want to have meetings? If they're going to have a meeting, why do they want it? What do they want to do for their program? They might have a lot of teachers in their club and they want to get involved with Lions Quest, or they might have a lot of people in their club who are builders, contractors, and they want to go out and build things. So it depends on, again, the strengths, skills, and desires in the club. How often do they want to meet? Well, how often is going to make them effective? And of course, you always have the social issue in there too. So that plays a part in that. What days do you want to meet and those kinds of things? Now you can get pretty nuts. This is some members from my club. And no, we don't meet like this, but this was one of our events. And what we had done is we had taken a survey out of one of different kinds of surveys that we have. We have different programs with different surveys. And we were looking at what the club wanted to do. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to do some funding for our guide dogs for sight and hearing. And we went down there and we dressed kind of silly when we went because we were celebrating the fact that we were there. And that's where we had a club meeting that night. And so that all came from a brainstorming at the club. So we didn't have to meet in a place. We didn't have to have dinner. We just had to go down there and have dinner ahead of time and went down and enjoyed our meeting down at the place where we raise these dogs. Now, some clubs, are coming together and they're brand new and they have to decide how they want to make their format go. One of the easiest ways to do that is to go visit a number of other clubs and say, okay, I like that format, or we like this format, or there's a part of this format that we like and we can put that in ours. And you can even go online and connect with other clubs now. It depends where you are and how good you are with technology. If you use My Lion app, you can make some connections from around the world to see how other clubs meet and how they do those things. So your club, your way, when you get together, you have to do the goal setting process and you have to come to a consensus. And once you come to a consensus, then you can say, okay, this is when, where, how we're going to meet. And this year, our president, Gudrun, would say, is your club ready to look beyond the horizon? I remember being in school and learning about Vikings and how, they were afraid to sail too far away from shore because they thought they would fall off the earth, because to them, the earth looked flat. And now we know that the earth is round. And so when your ship disappears over the horizon, it really is just going around the curve of the earth. And so when we're looking at, what we want to do with our club, we set our goals and we just start to stretch those a little bit. We look beyond that horizon. Yeah, we go over the curve of the earth. We can't really see where we're going to end up, but we know pretty much where we want to go. And then the big question is really, what do we want to work together? And I wouldn't stress any more than I can. This is very important, I think, for any kind of club, that you need to do some team building to bring your club together so that you know each other. And we already talked a little bit about how you have to look at your heart and how you fit together with the other members of your clubs. Now, I know you're going to have some questions at the end, and so I'll be here to answer those questions when we're done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ID Tom, and that was giving a good perspective as well as your personal experiences. We'll move on to Past Director Manoj. Manoj, are you there? There is an issue with his audio, I think. So we'll just give him. So we'll move on to Leo Lion turn from Leo. Ayush Bagla, who is our next panelist. And Ayush, would you take on from there?
Thank you, PID Sangeeta. Hello, everyone from different parts of the world. My topic for today is the challenges for clubs in the My Club, My Way process. And, the first challenge, next slide. The first and the foremost challenge is the challenge to change. It's basically the opportunity to recognize the need for change. All of you sitting over here who have attended the webinar today, you've already taken a step towards trying to change your club processes. And congratulations to all of you, because as humans, we're usually reluctant towards change. And thus, similarly, clubs would be reluctant to change their ways. The most commonly heard way out is that the club is already working fine. So why do we need to change it? Well, fine isn't enough. To make sure we are still impactful in the next 100 years of service, clubs have to adapt to survive. Next slide. The next challenge that we have is the challenge to authority. And this is pretty much visible in all the clubs present in our organization. Very commonly, it is seen that people in authority are more reluctant to change, as they see this as an imperative challenge to their own authorities. They sometimes believe that if change happens, their authority might be reduced, and thus their stalling attitude towards change can be visible. The next problem that a club might have is the difference of opinion. This is actually one of the biggest challenges that the clubs face right now, with a lot of new fresh blood coming in, such as Leos who've turned into Lions, young Lions that the international is focusing on now. It's usually seen that the older members are more reluctant to change, because according to them, the way that the club is working is perfect, and the club has worked well in so many years, so why not continue with the same processes. But young people, young Lions who are joining the club now, there's some people who would like to work out of the box, who would like to think out of the box and bring in new ideas. And this usually leads to conflicts between the two groups. So it is very important that the two demographics sit together and try to find a way in between. The next challenge that the club can face is the no end result. If at the end of the survey and the whole process, the club does not put into place the new plan, then obviously the members would feel disappointed and would feel that the time that they've put in for this change process was not used properly, and there would be reluctance in the future for any kind of club activities. So it's very important that if you've done the My Club My Way survey, you should follow up and get a result out of it. And the final challenge that the club should the club has and they should do is follow up, because it is very important to follow up after the implementation plan. It is important that you should check if the plans put into place are still working, if you need more modifications into the plan, because change is a continuous process and the plan has to be evolved continuously. So that is it from my side as for the challenges regarding that the clubs can face during the My Club My Way process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayush. Thank you so much, Ayush, for that perspective and taking this forward. As we see, there have been different viewpoints. We'll try to get PID Manoj whenever we can onto the system. But before that, may I request Past Director AP, would you like to share your thoughts on what you would feel would be My Club, My Way? What does it really mean?
Let's go back to a bit of history. How did this whole concept of your club, your way, or whatever we say, the reverse of it, My Club, My Way, how did this concept emerge? We are an international association of Lions clubs. Each of our clubs is chartered by Lions Clubs International, based in Oak Brook, United States. We have a standard club constitution. We have district and multiple district constitutions. We have board policies and the international constitution. Those are the rules that govern the clubs. We have various programs that are taken up by the clubs, and we have various suggestions that keep on rolling out of our headquarters at Oak Brook about the conduct and about the way the clubs may conduct their business, carry on their business, and the meetings. But the fact remains that it is important for leaders at every level, starting from the club level, maybe every member itself, to realize that each club is autonomous, that each club is located in a unique area, and there are unique features relating to the culture and the ground realities that are applicable to the clubs located in different parts of the world. Sometimes, by default, perhaps, some of our leaders referred to the documents and the plans and the suggestions and the various booklets and the publications that came out of Oakbrook and thought, this is the only way of doing things. So, to me, this concept is a declaration by Lions Clubs International that nothing is the only way. We have a constitution that tells us that this is the way we need to conduct the business of our clubs. These are the ways that we need to ensure there is transparency, there's accountability, there's accounting, and individual leaders getting elected, there's a time span for each leader, and so on and so forth. But beyond that, how a club operates, how a club meets, what a club does during that particular meeting, it is all dependent on the members of that particular club. There may be meetings, as one of our speakers said, extremely formal. There may be other clubs that may meet in an environment which is not at all formal. And there may be clubs that may have all their meetings, and I'm aware of such clubs in my part of the world, where each of the meetings is done formally as compared to those clubs which also exist in our part of the world, where maybe none of the meetings take place as formally as that. And so long as the members feel comfortable, so long as the members feel that they are enjoying the club experience, that's what's important. The members to feel comfortable in a club environment. So long as the members enjoy that environment, enjoy that experience, want to come back to the club, they feel at one with the club, they feel they really belong to that club, that's what we need to achieve. So this program or this announcement, Your Club, Your Way, is just a declaration, according to me, by Lions Clubs International, that the leaders, the club members in all the 47,000 clubs need to define their own parameters, what they expect out of the club meetings, and how they wish to go about in achieving what they expect. There is tremendous flexibility in our organization, and this is one of those fantastic ways of demonstrating that flexibility, that you and me can have our club functioning, our club working according to the way we would prefer it. So that's my take on this subject. Thank you, PID Sangeeta, for asking me for coming.
Thank you. And exactly as we saw Your Club, Your Way, there's another very wonderful document or a program, the Club Quality Initiative, which takes off from there. In that program, LCI provides you with a questionnaire that you can ask your members. Sometimes you believe the way you are running your club is the best. And like Ayush said, change is always very difficult, and we are not ready for that change. So maybe you hear your new members. When you do that survey, you actually go on to hear their views, their viewpoints, their ideas, their suggestions as to how to hold club meetings, not only club meetings, what service projects also to take. So it's your joint decision which you can take. No zone chair, no region chair, no district governor, no vice governor can tell you this is the way to do or run your club. It's your idea, it's your club, it's your way. So definitely that autonomous, you are an autonomous body and this is how you need to operate. That is very clearly stated in this document, Your Club, Your Way. And that's exactly what we would like our clubs to know. We are a very flexible organization. We believe in change. We believe in adaptation. We also believe that we might be global, but we are regional. This is exactly what this document says and what this document does. And we hope this webinar, that it goes out to those members who sometimes are stuck in their clubs, who do not enjoy it, can always say that, yes, we can do our club our own way. Maybe you can bring about the change in your clubs. Make it more friendly. Make it more contemporary. Make it more a fun place to be. Just like those members in Tom's club had fun doing a kind of a fundraiser. That's interesting, exciting, and that keeps people together. And when people see us having fun, they also want to join the fun. So if you are having fun, believe me, more Lions are going to join. So take your club your way. We will now open it up for your suggestions, your questions, your ideas.
Manoj,
I can see
Peter,
Manoj is back there. Yes, if Manoj, you would like to come in right now, unmute yourself, and if you would, share your thoughts. Yes, Manoj.
Thank you, Sangeeta and AP, for giving me this opportunity. My apologies as we had a small blackout. I fully agree with the views that have been expressed by both you and AP Singh. However, I would just like to share some of my views for a couple of minutes. Basically, I'm so pleased to talk about My Club, My Way, because I'm a firm believer that each club is autonomous and must be run in its own way. However, we must understand the mechanics to make the club successful. I just want to follow up on the presentation of past council chairperson Christiane. She actually highlighted 9 critical points to consider for My Club, My Way. Implementation is imperative in order to have the concept of My Club, My Way be successful in a club. Change for the sake of change is certainly doomed for failure. So there must be a systematic establishment of procedures for success. In her presentation, she highlighted that we must consider the individual needs of members and the ability of establishing good communication and trust so each club can carve out its best avenue of holding productive and effective meetings, which at the same time motivates members' participation and ultimately members' satisfaction, which is our goal in this program. Next slide. For members to be involved, we must consider their views on how they perceive the club to be at present. In this stage, it would be prudent to carry out a members survey which would establish how members as individuals would like to see the club run. In my own home club, I've seen the members survey having an impact on what we on the way we run our club. By doing this, the members are involved in filling the forms and they will become enthusiastic as the views is sought and taken into account and their individuality has been respected. This document can be found on the Lions website. Next slide. Once this questionnaire has been completed and compiled, it is important for the club to set goals together, understanding the individual and collective views of members. This stage, which involves collaboration, will demonstrate that although there is a variance of views, a majority would like to have the meetings done slightly differently. This collaborative approach will then define standards which will be debated and agreed upon so that each members feel that it is their decision, their contribution, hence buying into My Club, My Way. Next slide. Similarly, to any change process, for it to be successful, My Club, My Way must have credibility built from stage 1. And for stage 2 to be effective, it is important that creativity is used to reinvent the membership experience as required by members. For example, changing of meeting times and venues and more visibility to the public. Finally, in My Club, My Way, commitment to the club will be increased as members love to be in a place where it is fun and a homely atmosphere, where they know that work is more important than mere formalities that sometimes take up important individual and meeting time. Thank you, Sangeeta and AP, for giving me this opportunity for airing my views. Over to
Thank
you.
you, Manoj. Yep. Yes, AP. Okay.
We will now move on to the question answer session. And for each of the individual attendees, if you wish to ask a question, there is a hand icon there. If you press on that hand icon, we will see your hand and we'll unmute you and you would be able to ask a question. So I already see some hand icons already pressed, but then some of you, from our past experience, we can say, have pressed it without realizing. So in case you genuinely want to ask a question, just leave that hand icon there. And those who really have not pressed the icon but wish to ask a question, please go ahead and push it, and we will start unmuting you one by one. And the first individual that we'll unmute is Abhay Shastri. Abhay Shastri, will you please speak? Ask your question.
I'm trying to, but I can't.
We can hear you.
What is the ideal timing or duration of a meeting?
Who would like to take that question? ID Gordon?
Yeah, I could take that one. I guess that there is no ideal time. It depends on, how patient your group is, how long they want to sit and talk to each other, how much they like each other, how much they know about each other, and how much you want to get done. And we have a saying in our district that if you don't have a reason for a meeting, you shouldn't have the meeting. So maybe you don't have one at all. So there's no ideal time. But whatever business you have to accomplish, that's about the time that you would need, however it takes to do that. And sometimes that goes longer than a normal meeting that you would have, and sometimes it's a little bit less. So I can't nail that down. It's not like 60 minutes, 90 minutes. There's no ideal time.
Okay. The next question would come from Abhishek Soni. You are unmuted.
Yes, I want to.
Please go ahead and speak. We just heard a few words and it appears there's a audio challenge, so we will move on. We will move on to Anand Mehta. Anand, you are unmuted.
Thank you very much. First of all, many thanks for a wonderful webinar. I have two things to ask. Number one, which are the best way to take this wonderful program to club? And if any one of you would like to share any of the success stories of how this program was implemented in one particular club and how the whole club changed and what are benefits they have got. Thank you.
I leave it open to the panelists, whoever would like to narrate a success story with this program.
Yeah, Manoj Shah, AP.
Yes.
Just to respond to Anand Mehta's question, the best way to take this program forward into your club, first and foremost, is to talk to your club about this program, educate them on the benefits of this program, get their buy-in, and if you get the buy-in from the majority of the members, you will definitely be able to implement many of the components of this program. Talking about a couple of clubs that I have actually worked in and sharing a success story with Lions Club of Peponi here in Nairobi, Kenya, we actually started off by doing the members survey, which brought in a lot of frustration from members in clubs. And by identifying a lot of frustrations by the members themselves, they actually found solutions themselves as to the best way as to how they should conduct their meetings. This is just my view on this question.
So that's fine. And the next person I would unmute is Durga Prasad Sharma. You're unmuted. You may ask your question. Please go ahead and speak. Again, an audio issue, so we'll have to move on to Devendra Reddy. Devendra Reddy, you are unmuted.
Hello.
Yes.
Namaste.
Yes,
Namaste.
please go ahead.
Yeah. In the meetings, should we follow the protocols or not during the meetings, whether the official visit and even the DG's advisory meetings? What does it mean by your way, your club and your way?
PID Sangeeta, would you take that question, please? This seems to be a little local issue.
Yes, of course. No, what we mean by my club, my way is you follow constitution where it's required. But when it's not required or where it's not required, official visit, definitely you've got to follow protocol. You can't say governor's coming in and you do just anything you wish. No, we will follow a protocol there. But your normal meetings, your normal activities, your programs that you want to do, that you do as suits your members. But of course, if there is an official visit, you definitely will follow protocol. I don't think that we can do away with that. That protocol is not something that binds you down. Protocol is something which makes your meetings seamless and there is no problem anywhere. That's to support you, not to kind of bind you, I feel. So use the protocol in a friendly manner and it will help and make your meetings even better. So for sure, you will follow protocol where it's required. For formal meetings, you will follow protocol definitely. But when it comes to just your regular meetings, when it's just your members, do what suits everybody. That's the whole import of this program.
Thank you. Next, we've unmuted Ashok Kulkarni. Line Kulkarni, please go ahead and ask your question.
Good evening. Good evening to everybody. Thank you for the excellent program. See, my question is, one of the challenges which we face in the club is the conflict of thoughts. Conflict of thought is a major challenge in arriving at a consensus about the various issues. So can you advise us how do we go about it?
Getting people together with different views come together on a consensus. So, Christian, will you take this question?
I think what is very important in this case is that, as I said before, we have to understand that we are different and we have to be able and capable to listen, which means that once you start listening to your club members and try to understand their point of view or their thoughts or their ideas that they have, then you understand that your club gets even stronger the more different or the higher the variety of thoughts is that you can offer. Because this then leads you to what I said about the urgent need of creativity in your club. You can, of course, keep on going as you always did. But once you start to be open to those members that have a different point of view or just see it from a different angle, then you will see that this in a way supports your club and makes it even stronger by the next activity that you are planning, the service activity, or for whatever you plan to do for your club meetings. So try to be open to different thoughts and see those as a challenge and not as a critical point. That would be my answer to it.
Thank you. We are now unmuting Ayana Prescott. Ayana Prescott, we saw your hand up and we've unmuted you. Line Prescott. Some audio challenge. Maybe we'll come back again. We'll come back again.
Self-muted.
Yes, that she's self-muted. Line Choksi. Line Choksi, you've been unmuted. You raised your hand, but you have self-muted yourself. Unmute yourself, Line Choksi. No. So we move on. Line Kamalpur. Line Narsimha Raju Dishpalli.
Hi, sir.
Yeah,
My
please go
question
ahead.
it comes. Yeah, my question comes even for protocol, which I have asked, and other friend also asked the same query. Apart from that, if a young line member who becomes a leader, and some of senior line members or seasoned members, they will be having a lot of problems with while taking decisions on when it comes to my club, my way. So how we can overcome with those types, I can say that.
So we'll have a
Ayush,
young member, Ayush. Yeah, right. Ayush.
uh, so see what we used to do in the Leo Club, and that I can suggest you here is that just because you're not doing a formal meeting does not mean that you leave the protocols behind. And by following the protocols, I do not mean following the protocols in the literal terms. What you can do is give the leaders the respect that they deserve. And I'm pretty much sure that even they would not be too strict about the protocols. And I think the decisions would become much easier, much faster, because from my experience as a Leo, I've seen that when meetings are informal, when the meeting is kept to the shortest time possible, the results are much better and it's more effective and efficient. And the members are more interested to come to the meetings.
Thank you. And we will now unmute Past District Governor Pradeep Nair. Pradeep, you're unmuted, but you are muting yourself. Can't help that. I'll unmute you again. Yes, Pradeep, go ahead and speak. Yeah.
As a club which organizes My Club, My Way program has to report to LCIA? And if yes, then any follow-up is done by LCIA whether decisions taken are implemented or not.
So what's your question?
Does a club which organizes My Club, My Way program has to report to LCIA? And
No.
if yes,
No.
any follow-up?
I don't think so, but I think I need confirmation from the other speakers. Is the reporting to LCI compulsory?
No, it is. No, it's not compulsory at all. That's why it's your club, your way.
Yeah.
You have your normal reporting you have to do, but there's no compulsory way that you have to meet.
PDG Pradeep, there is no compulsory reporting. This is a suggestion for all leaders in all parts of the world. There is no compulsory reporting for this. Any other question?
But is it CQI is it compulsory? But in CQI?
CQI is a different altogether, and My Club, My Way it's just a suggestion. It's not a program really. But following My Club, My Way, you could do a CQI, the Club Quality Initiative. Even in that, it is up to you. It's basically your decisions, your ideas. It's just a tool given to you so that you could use it. So it's you report that you've done it. That's all. What follow-up, I don't think is done. Right, Director Tom?
No, there's no follow-up unless you ask for some. If you need help with implementing CQI, that's a very in-depth program to restructure your club. It's your club, your way is a little less rigorous.
Right. So we will now unmute Lion Sankara Venkata Krishna Prasad.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
When you say good evening, you do not realize that there are two individuals in United States now. It's 5:30 in the morning there.
Okay. Good morning as well. I'm sorry about it. It's Alliance for the Internet. Thanks a lot. My question basically is that it's something to do with the past questions where the juniors and the blend of the seniors bring in some sort of a clash in terms of deliverances. I just give a small example of a club, of my club, where we have been here for the last 3 years. For the first 2 years, we've been very formal, the office bearers. Second year, we continued the same way. The third year, a new leader took over. With the result, for the first 2 years, the charter president continued. And in the third year, when the results are delivered, are probably a better performance as to what the new president feels, the charter president actually started working against it more out of some sort of a different strategy. He doesn't attend any of the meetings. He actually posts in the WhatsApp group, the sort of things which discourages the members. And for the first time, when the international, the chair of the international level has got a woman as a lion, lady lion, we have the club. The new president has got 4 new ladies into the club. Now, this is a matter of a challenge for the new president, no doubt, after having passed through 4 months. But then it's also some sort of a rocket fuel for him to work more. But there should be some sort of a senior alliance helping such cases, not just to survive the club, to increase the number in the club and probably increase more number of clubs through such precedents. What's your take on it?
PID Manoj, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you, AP Singh. From the story, the long story that has been narrated by Sankara, there seems to be a couple of issues that he has mentioned besides a question. The first issue is that definitely by bringing juniors and seniors together at some point in time, there is going to be a disagreement or a not meeting of minds. But however, in the case that Sankara has kind of explained to us, it's quite apparent that we have a club president that is doing extremely well, and the charter club president doesn't seem to be too happy about the successes of this club president, and therefore there are some political efforts being made to thwart the efforts of this particular club president that's doing well, the way I understand the narration of his story. However, when we talk about My Club, My Way, this is a tool that can be utilized effectively in scenarios like this. And this particular tool would really help this club to structure the way it works, to structure its meetings, and to structure its future leadership, so that some problems of this type that Sankara has narrated to us could be elevated. So my response to Sankara is that this is a tool that you should highly recommend to this particular club, and to ensure that they implement it or try and follow it, so that this kind of problems actually do not take the club back, but only help the club to progress forward. AP?
That's right. And now we are unmuting Lion Mahapatra. You put up your hand, but then you need to unmute yourself. We've already unmuted you. Yes, go ahead.
Namaste. Namaste, Jai Jagannath. Actually,
Namaste.
I would like to say that in regarding reporting, we should always report in My LCI as well as in My Lion. Regarding meeting duration, we should have 20 to 30 minutes meeting, including open session of 10 to 20 minutes, so that a meeting can be successful and others will be desperate to attend our meetings. Rather, they will not feel bored. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So that was a comment. That wasn't a question, but then it's fine. We never know in advance what's coming. Dr. Abhijit. Dr. Abhijit, you're unmuted.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yes. Good evening and good morning to the IDs in US. Sir, my question is, I'm a president of a 48-year-old club, Lions Club of Kopargaon. We are facing an issue that our seniors are reluctant to add female members just because we have an existing Lioness Club. How can this My Club, My Way help us in this issue? They don't want female members. They just want to continue that Lioness Club that has no value.
Who else except the global chair, New Voices, would answer that?
It's like exciting one, definitely, no doubt. You have a Lioness Club, and you say that women are there.
I'm giving it to you on a plate. Say thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And you have them there, and you've got to get them involved. I think what we are missing out in is not telling the Lionesses what are the benefits of becoming a Lion member. Why should they become a Lion member? What are they missing out by not becoming a full-fledged member? If they knew about it, I'm sure they would want to join. It's not about that $43, I think. I don't think it really matters to them whether they pay the money or not, because in any case, they do pay much more in their own way in their Lioness clubs also. But what we got to tell them that if you join the organization, not only do you get an opportunity to lead, but you also get an opportunity to attend our institutes, attend our various programs. For example, this webinar. I mean, an invitation would not go out to a Lioness Club member at all. And it's not because that it can go out to anybody, but they are not in our roles. We have no idea who they are. We also do not have any roster as such. The service activities which they do are not added on to our service records, which is rather a shame because I know the kind of work that they do. But your problem is not only the Lionesses wanting to join, the members also don't want the Lionesses to join your club. How about a club branch? You could think about that. They become a member of the club, but it keeps both of them happy. They have their own separate meetings. They don't have to report to you. They are not involved. I mean, you might have different timings. The men will have their privacy. The women will have their privacy. And you can do your own things your way. So think about a club branch, which is, I believe, the best solution to how you can overcome this problem. And once you have the club branch, and when you feel that, yes, they are ready, you could form a separate club of the members also. I would say, rather than take them in your club, allow them to form another club and do it. And go ahead. There are many clubs who do not want women to come in. And then there are some women clubs who do not want the men to come in. So again, it's your club, your way. But if it is because of the pig-headedness of somebody, I would say you've got to ask them to just go. I know many clubs where women were not allowed to come in. But when they did come in, some of the members said that they would leave the club. And even if they left, we did not lose out anything. So you've got to take a firm decision. Tom, I think you would like to add in something there.
Oh, Sangeeta, I think you got that exactly right. You know, we've had clubs that didn't want women in the clubs, and they said, yeah, if we get women in the club, we're going to leave. And then the women come in the club and they do such a good job. They shape the club up and the guys don't leave. Or if they leave, you didn't need them anyway. So I agree totally with that one.
Christian, women in clubs in Germany is a big question. Any feedback, any input from you?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting for me to see that the more younger people we get in our clubs, things automatically change. And when you watch this over the last 15 years, we had discussions 15 years ago that we do not have any longer, which means if we get Leos like the young Ayush Bagla that we have just been able to listen to, if we get those young people in our clubs, there is no discussion at all whether we take more women or more men. We do not even discuss this. But I absolutely agree with Sangeeta that that there are still male clubs which we cannot change, and it should not be our focus to change them, as well as the women clubs. Just let the club system be like it is, and if someone wants a change, then there is a possibility to just charter a new club, and that is something we should support. That is something where we should be there for our new Lion members to say, just make a club your way. You want the club, it should be this way, and then we have a mixed club. So this has really changed, and I'm glad that it has changed. And I'm pretty much sure that this will not be any discussion at all in the next 10 or 15 years. And then finally, we will have a gender change as well, so that we get to our big goal 50-50, which is a little bit ahead, but we are strongly working on it.
Thank you. And Sangeeta, for your final announcements, you know, we still have some hands that are up. We have the hand of some of our good friend past governors that are up, but I'm very sorry, it's 7 sharp and we've always stuck to time in this webinar and we would like to keep it that way. So PID Sangeeta, over to you for the announcements before we close.
Yeah, thank you. We've had a wonderful audience here, and as I see the list, it spans a lot of constitutional areas, and that is what is very heartening. It's not limited Of course, the questions, most of them came from Isame, but then it seems that there are a lot of people, other people joining too, and hearing on, getting ideas. In fact, I was seeing my messenger and I got some messages there too. So that's interesting, exciting, and that is what it is. We have people joining in, coming on a platform together, having a conversation and taking it forward. So thank you, each one of you, to our panelists for doing such a fabulous job with your topic, sending in the presentations, thinking about it, and of course to each of those who attended. This webinar, as I told you, would be available as a recording on www.leadersacademy.org in a couple of days from now, together with the presentation you saw today. So you will also be receiving updates as to your attendance at this webinar, and to tell you the next webinar is slated for the 2nd of November 2018, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. IST, Indian Standard Time, and the topic is building your brand, simple ways to build our Lions brand. That's the next topic webinar, 2nd of November. Watch out. Till then, we sign out from Eastern India Lions Leadership Academy with a big thank you to our panelists and of course to all of you who attended. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with this, we close. Thank you.
Sorry, technical.